Hello everyone and welcome to Melanie's Matters. Today we are here at Pages and we're here for a very good cause. LonJack Exquisite Events. They are having a fundraiser for a housing project that is here in Baltimore and for Pimlico Middle School. So it's a very good cause. And so we have a few people here who are doing interviews, and right with me we have Miss Shannon who's doing the interview. Say hi to everyone. So Shannon, please tell us, why are you here supporting this event?
Well, I was asked to host this event by Jackie and Lonnie, and I jumped right on it once they told me what it was about. I have a niece that is currently living in a transitional home.
Nice.
So it was something that I definitely wanted to support. I'm all about helping homeless, people in any way that I can. Close family and friends of mine have been either almost homeless or been in a situation where they were homeless and put in shelters. So just to know that there are organizations out there, I've never even heard of Innterim, but my niece's is a different one, but just to know that there are other organizations that support helping young families to build them up is like, that makes me smile. And me being a citizen, or used to be a citizen of Baltimore City, I'm always attracted to anything that has to do with making Baltimore City better.
Good.
And especially because they are giving back to the Pimlico Elementary and Middle School.
Yes.
That means that they are supporting our children. And a lot of times people here in Baltimore think negatively, but our children are our future.
Absolutely.
And so for people who to have such a devotion to raising awareness and to put money into our schools for our children just makes me again happy. So I'm going to always.
So Miss Vanetta, please tell everyone why you chose to support this event.
Because I know a lot of young ladies in this predicament, like with Innterim Housing Corporation. When I first moved here, I came with nothing. Me, my husband, and my son, and there was some issues that happened, and it could have been me. Quick, because he was working, but still, it just wasn't like we thought it was gonna be. So, but God blessed me, so I wanted to support the ladies that's out there, really working to try to make things come back together no matter what happens.
Yeah, because I want to say it is hard, and I just want to really point out that a lot of times we're only one paycheck away from being homeless. So I think that this type of event to support families that are literally in transition, I think is very important. And I also think that they're giving back to the school as well. Yeah.
I really don't know. I only been here 2 years.
Okay. So where are you from? Tell me where you're from.
I'm from Mississippi. Yeah, but I read about it and everything, the K through 8, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Because the school needs something, and they need like more than money. We need like some encouragement.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Miss Jackie Peterson. And Miss Peterson, can you tell everyone why are you here at this event?
Well, this is a great opportunity. I work at Pimlico Elementary Middle School as what they dub as a community resource manager. And in that framework, my specialty is to bring resources into the school. Pimlico being a school that's placed in a high maintenance area, a poverty-stricken area, an urban area where students and parents are constantly in the struggle to survive. It is difficult for them to maintain a certain amount of respect, to be educated properly, and to have their needs met. They're always in the struggle. So my purpose is to allow other people to hear about some of the struggles of Pimlico Elementary Middle School. Now, paralleling with that, Pimlico is also highly diversified. They have very good quality educators there. They have dedicated parents. They have some dedicated teachers. And we want to highlight those aspects as well. So my purpose tonight is to let others know there are some needs at Pimlico Elementary Middle School that we want to support and help some students with. But alongside and paralleling with that, we want to make sure that people hear the magnificent things going on with Pimlico, and we want people to be able to come in and see that and experience it.
We get real excited. For those of you who are not aware of what we do, we are a transitional shelter for homeless women with children. And we're located in Harris-Barber, Maryland. And this is actually the year that we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. So to us, that's a wonderful accomplishment. That's something that we've done in such a short time. We've done so much. So some of our needs are just what you would think. Because these children come to us a lot of times without anything, no clothing on their back, no shoes on their feet, no supplies, and their moms are in the same condition. We are looking for people who want to come and support us on a regular basis so that we can provide these things for them. It's starting to get cold now, so there's things like coats and sweaters and hats and gloves. Sometimes the things that we take for granted, like personal hygiene, soaps and sneakers for the children so that they can attend school. A lot of times we focus on women, but we've noticed over the years that we forget about the children. So while the mothers are transitioning, we also are realizing that the children are transitioning as well. So I thank you all for your support, and I did leave some brochures by the table, so if you want to read a little bit more about what we do and who we are, I really appreciate it. And of course, I'm going to be here this evening. If you have any questions, I would love to be able to answer them for you. Thank you so much.
That was like a wonderful program, like I stated before. I just want to remind you guys while we're waiting for our next guest speaker, if you haven't gotten a chance to go into the vanilla room to bid at the silent auction, we would really appreciate if you do that. Thank you.
My sisters, when I look at you, I should see myself. I should feel your pain, happiness, sorrow, and joy. For I am you, and you are me. If I cannot accept you for your strengths and weaknesses, then it is I that has a problem. And I must look deep inside to see what prevents me from understanding you. Good evening. Thank you all for coming to this wonderful event. I'm honored to have the opportunity to address this crowd in honor of Domestic Violence Month. But more importantly, I'm honored to address this crowd in order to fundraise for such an awesome organization. So with that, I think that they deserve a round of applause. Just as I recited, I am you and you are me. We've all experienced pain, and whether it's a result of domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, it's time to break the silence. It's time to rise from a place of pain and soar into our purposes. You see, what does that mean? What does it mean? How do you rise, meaning move from a lower position to a higher position when you're experiencing or have experienced pain? A physical suffering or discomfort caused by an injury inflicted upon you. How can you soar, meaning fly or rise high in the air, maintaining height without ever flapping your wings into your purpose? The reason for which something is done, created, or exists. So many of us as humans put on a facade to hide what's inside, to hide our suffering and discomfort, to hide our pain. We think that if everything looks beautiful and put together on the outside, that people will assume the same is true on the inside. What we as human beings don't realize is that sometimes a smile can unintentionally reveal the pain of 1,000 untold stories of heartache, shame, guilt, and remorse. You see, having experienced the run of the gamut, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, and the heartache, it was the heartache that I rose from and my faith that led me to my purpose. You see, I grew up in the inner city of Boston. My entire family basically lived in one area, in one neighborhood, and my grandparents were the rock of that community. I come from 5 generations of police officers. My mother, my father, my grandfather, aunts, my uncles, all were members of the Boston Police Department. My grandfather was one of the founding members of the Black Police Organization in Massachusetts. Everyone in my my neighborhood knew and respected my family. I went to an all-white school about an hour south of Boston as part of one of the longest-standing desegregation programs in the country. It was an integration initiative started in the civil rights era that bused black children from the inner city of Boston to high-performing schools outside the city. I was one of only a handful of black children in the entire school. Sitting in those classrooms, oftentimes as the only woman of color in the room, I felt as though I had something to prove. I wanted my teachers and classmates to understand that the negative images that they saw on TV or in the movies was not how all black women carried themselves. So I was actively engaged in the SGA, co-editor of the school newspaper, and graduated top of my class. It wasn't easy at first, but I had someone to go through that with me, my cousin Deron. He was also part of the METCO program. Deron was assigned to a different school. We had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day and not get home until 6 o'clock in the evening. We grew up like brothers and sisters. We lived right next door from one another. We were extremely close. We shared secrets. Secrets that so many of us are ashamed of. Like the fact that my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, had molested me as a girl. And Deron and I together, we were determined to keep him away from our youngest siblings. We shared dreams. Deron wanted to be an architect, I wanted to be a lawyer. We talked about the colleges we wanted to attend, what life would be like leaving Boston and living on our own in a completely new environment. On August 19, 1994, at the impressionable age of 14, all of that came to an end one afternoon when someone came to my neighborhood looking for a drug dealer by the name of Dion. Someone pointed out my cousin Deron. He demanded drugs and money. My cousin thought it was a joke, and he was shot several times in broad daylight outside of our home. I'll never forget the image of my cousin's body laying in the street. I watched him die outside my home, and the sense of heartache and the magnitude of pain that I felt when I realized that he was dead. It still haunts me to this day. If it wasn't for the police, the district attorney's office, and the testimony that my neighbor, Manny Burroughs, Deron's killer, would have gone free. He not only cooperated with police, but he testified in court. My family would not have received any sort of justice. Manny Burroughs had a voice, and he used it to do what was right. When the moment counted, he stepped up. There are moments in all of our lives where we have a choice to make, to leave or to stay, to fight or surrender, to speak out or stay silent. These moments, whether we know it or not, have a profound impact on those around us. A simple act of courage can affect the ones we love the most in ways that we could never imagine. Manny Burroughs inspired me to always be courageous. My first moment of courage came when I consciously chose to rise above my pain and vowed to become a prosecutor following my cousin Deron's funeral. I channeled my pain into academic excellence and graduated from Tuskegee University with honors and headed to Boston College Law School, where I earned my Juris Doctorate degree. My second moment of courage, where I completely stepped out on faith and soared into my purpose, was when I decided that I was going to run for Baltimore City State's Attorney, despite everyone around me telling me that it could not be done. As a God-fearing woman of faith, I can't help but think of the book of Isaiah 40, chapter 31st verse, where it says that although we may stumble and fall, those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. My God is a powerful God. He's an awesome God. And when you walk in His purpose for your life, He makes a way out of nowhere. Which is why I stand in awe at who He brings into your life as you walk in His purpose. During the incredible journey of my campaign, I had the opportunity to organize several events focused on empowering women. We called it Women for a Safer Baltimore. One of those women who I came to know, was a dynamic woman by the name of Angela Wharton, a survivor of sexual assault and the founder of Phoenix Ministries, a group dedicated to providing support and guidance to other survivors. This beautiful, strong woman of God, her mission, her organization, her testimony. She was brutally raped at gunpoint outside of her home in Baltimore City, and her testimony not only exemplified courageousness, she taught me the difference between a victim and a survivor. You see, a victim is someone who is harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime or event. Victims can't get past their pain and don't get up. A survivor is a person who remains alive after an event when others would have died. Angela Wharton was a survivor of sexual assault. I am a survivor of sexual assault. Angela had risen above her pain and was now soaring in her purpose and utilizing her testimony to heal and impact others. God put Angela Wharton in my life at the same time that a predator by the name of Nelson Clifford that was brought to my attention during the campaign. This 5-time serial rapist was breaking into people's homes and raping women by knife point. He had gotten off 4 times despite DNA evidence, and the way in which he was getting off was when the women had the courage and the audacity to testify and say that this man violated me in every sense of the word. He would get up on the stand and say, yeah, my DNA evidence is there, but she consented to having intercourse with me. And every single jury, they never knew that this individual was accused of doing this to 4 other women, 4 other occasions at the same time. The first time he got off, it took him just 60 days before he raped three other women and broke into 3 other homes. Appalled at the level of bravado that this predator had, I sought to conform Maryland laws with federal laws, which recognize that when we talk about child molestation and sexual assault, these individuals usually have a pattern of predatory behavior. And thus their prior bad acts and accusations are tools for prosecutors to be able to utilize at trial. Just like Angela Wharton and the phenomenal women of Phoenix Ministries who stood with me this past year in Annapolis and shared their incredible survival stories with the Judiciary Committee in order to effect change, Innterim Housing Corporation affects change every day, acting as a conduit for homeless mothers and children to rebuild their lives, instilling the confidence of these women to maintain self-sufficiency as they transition back into our communities following abusive relationships, spouse or partner abandonment, loss of income, mental illness, substance abuse, poor money management, or a combination of these issues. You see, we all stumble and fall, we all have experienced pain, but it's what we do after this experience that defines us. Just beyond the most crippling moment of your life is your true purpose. Look within yourselves and make that purpose a reality. We must encourage and inspire one another to prosper. If we all harness the collective potential in this room, and I see a number of women, the power it generated would be unstoppable. We're mothers, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're aunts, we're grandmothers, we're godmothers. Other people's worlds depend on us as women. Embrace your pain, ladies. Discard your fears. Soar into the heights that God intended. It's your destiny. You only have to move beyond what you've already been through to realize it. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor to speak with you, and I hope that you will go in that room and support Innterim House, because that's what this is about. We are supporting organizations that are supporting our communities. So our time is now, and we need to claim it. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It is getting upon that time where your wonderful spirited drinks are oozing love and gentleness through your body, and it is getting to a point where you are summarizing. What I like to do is just take a moment to say this. It is difficult to follow someone like Marilyn Mosby, but I'm going to do my best. I wanted to tell you just real quick that I am what they call a community resource manager at Pimlico Elementary Middle School. Now that's a new position that was created in certain urban schools because they recognize that the principal is really hardworking and the teachers are extremely hardworking. They needed a person in place that could be the forefront to the community, to the parents, and to the students, our scholars, to help support and balance some of their needs. So what I'd like to take a moment to tell you is that Pimlico is a unique school. It is placed in an environment where it has been blighted by some of the economic situations that America is going through at the time. However, Pimlico has taken a particular hard hit. You will come down Pimlico and you will see that there is a difference between Southern Park Heights and Northern Park Heights.
Right.
Once you cross a street, there's a big difference. And the further you go towards the city, the bigger that difference becomes. In the area of Pimlico Elementary Middle School, there are no grocery stores. They either have to go to Mondawmin or they have to go to Ricestown Plaza. They don't even have Stop Shop and Save anymore.
Wow.
So parents are having a difficult time making sure that their children are eating. Therefore, Pimlico has been dubbed now as a food-friendly school. Now, I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to date myself. It looks good, but it's getting there. But when I was in school, you couldn't go to your elementary school and ask for a bag of groceries. You could not go to your teacher and say, could you please let the community resource manager know that my child is in need of food for the weekend, or school supplies, or underclothes, or socks, or coats. You couldn't go to a school and ask for those things. But now, Pimlico is now a community school. Not a school in the community, but a community school, which means you can come to Pimlico if you need your GED. You can come to Pimlico if you need a pair of socks, and not just for the students, but for the community as well. But let me say this, resources are tight. They are tight. And if you are already on the tight end of tight, there's a problem. So there's a challenge that we have tonight. And I want to tell you that I know everyone in here has some economic situations. But what you have is nothing compared to what some of the children have at Pimlico Elementary Middle School. So what I would like to present to you tonight is that I'm just going to ask you to think about two small programs that we offer. I passed around some yellow flyers. One of them is called Happy Feet, and the other one is called Undie Mondays. Now those are small, because I'm going to ask you for a lot, but I just want to I want you to think about the next time you go into Target's, the next time you go into any store that has a few things on sale, pick up a pair of socks, pick up a pair of underwear, pick up a t-shirt, because there are students at our school that are suffering. They are in need.
This is our first fundraising event. I'd like to especially thank Lisa Williams and Mario Gates from Innterim Housing Corporation. They really do great work with women and children. I've witnessed firsthand the many families that they've helped over the years. So again, I'd like to extend my gratitude and thanks for those ladies coming out tonight. I especially like to thank, I'm not going to say Democratic nominee, I'm just going to claim it, City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. We thank you for coming out and speaking at our event. We really appreciate you, and congratulations on the state's attorney position. You got this. And now my partner Lonnie Jordan would like to say something.
Thank you everyone for coming out today. I'd like to personally thank Ms. Jackie Peterson for coming out from Pimlico Elementary. Thank you so much. I know firsthand on what it's like to be a dedicated teacher. Where's my mom? Mom, where's my mother?
somewhere around.
Well, she always disappearing somewhere. Everyone, this is my Aunt Jeannie and my mom. They have 105 years, combined years of education. So I know firsthand what it's like to have a mom who taught for so many years and would come home and explain to me the frustration on how crazy her kids were, and because of the things they had to deal with, you know, going without food, going without clothes, clean clothes. There go my mom, everybody. 44 years right there, you know. So I know what it is firsthand to what it is to have a parent to sacrifice for her students, because she really, really cares. So I understand firsthand on what you were talking about. So thanks to everybody for coming out. This is this is our second event that we did. Oh, this is our second event. So thank you for coming out. Don't forget, if you haven't made an auction, a pledge yet, go to the Vanilla room, make a pledge. Every little bit counts. Every little bit. Shannon, did you make your pledge yet? Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for coming out, everybody. Have a great time. Thank you.
And welcome back. We are here with Miss Marilyn Mosby. So Miss Mosby, we've been talking to a lot of people today, and they have been saying they enjoy this event, particularly because we're giving back. You know, and I heard your story, and it was so compelling. It was so compelling, and it was so touching. And you guys, you're going to cry if you know, you'll see it. You'll see it. So I want to ask you, why did you choose to come to this event?
Well, because this is Domestic Violence Month, and supporting organizations like Innterim and what they do and provide for the community is imperative for us to change what's happening in our communities, whether it's domestic violence, substance abuse, you know, giving back to the young kids and those people who go through pain and have to rise above that pain to soar to their purpose. You know, I want to be as encouraging and empowering as I can.
And I think you have. I think you have, especially listening to your testimony, because that's what it was. So, I mean, to me, you spoke to me. You spoke to me, and I'm pretty sure you've spoken to a lot of women who are out there who have been through things such as you have, right? So what took you to get over?
Well, what I think, you know, is as women, especially women in our communities, oftentimes we want people to see where we are and not necessarily how we got to where we are. And I think that telling our stories, you know, sharing your experiences, telling your story can change a chapter in someone else's life. And we've got to get past the shame, the guilt, the anxiety, and feeling like we can't share our experiences, because all it does is exacerbate that vicious cycle. And it's time for us to break the silence of domestic violence, break the silence of sexual assault, and to soar into our purpose. You know, it's unacceptable. Like I said, our story can change a chapter in somebody else's life.
I'm Lonnie Jordan. How are you today?
We're LonJack Exquisite Events and Costume Karaoke, and this is our fundraiser night, our first fundraiser soiree, and our guest speaker was Marilyn Mosby, Jackie Peterson, and Lisa Williams of Innterim Housing Corporation.
Yes, first we want to start with Jackie Peterson from Pimlico Middle School. She is one of the people who are responsible for networking with the students and the parents in the community on meeting the community needs. Needs like simple things that you and I may take for granted, as far as underwear, a coat, even a hot meal. So what we're working with Pimlico to do is to help meet those little needs that those students might need in that community.
Yes, and Innterim Housing Corporation, that's an organization that Lisa Williams spoke on behalf of. It's a transitional housing shelter for women and children due to economic status, domestic violence, different circumstances where women find themselves homeless. What Innterim does, they take them in, they get them involved in a school program to help them improve their economic situation. they do so much for the community, and I witnessed firsthand the work that they've done with various families, people coming from such terrible backgrounds, and were able to go and actually improve their economic situation so that they don't have to depend on anyone else. Excellent program. It's similar to maybe the House of Ruth, but I think they're a little bit more involved in the actual individual. So I've always been passionate about that particular shelter because I worked there years ago, and they do phenomenal work.
They love taking pictures.
So I've always said if I had the opportunity to do something, I would have an event of some kind to actually show my appreciation for the work that they've done in the community.
Wow, wow. So I'm behind the scenes, but you guys, are you planning to do another event? Because I think this was a spectacular event.
Yes, our next event is February the 11th.
February the 13th.
The 13th.
It's Friday the 13th for Valentine's Day weekend. It's the second chance prom and sweetheart dance. So if you've never experienced the prom, come on out. That night is going to be held at Martin's West from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m. The tickets will be $65 per person with open bar and a buffet.
Okay, so tell everyone your website.
Our website is www.LonJackEvents.com. We also have a Facebook page, LonJack Karaoke. I'm sorry, LonJack Costume Karaoke by Miss Jackie and Lonnie.
Cool. Any closing remarks?
I want to thank everyone for supporting this this effort. It's never too late to support. You can go to our website. You can still donate there. We need all your donations. Anything that you can do is possible. You can pay PayPal, credit card, check, whatever.
Okay, good. LonJack Exquisite Events. Nice.